As you probably know from my recent video about Mario and Luigi Dream Team's hard mode, Dream Team was the only entry in the series to ever get a full-on higher difficulty setting. However, Bowser's Inside Story, not to be outdone, does offer something of a hard mode itself: the Challenge Medal. This is an equippable item that either Mario or Luigi can wear, and it increases your coin drops from enemies by 50% in exchange for massively beefing up all their stats. Normal enemies and bosses each receive a 1.5 times buff to their HP and defense, as well as a 2.5 times buff to their attack power. Even though Bowser can't equip this item himself, the effects extend to all of his fights whether Mario and Luigi get involved or not. Realistically, this item probably isn't super worth using purely for the coin buff because it makes fights longer to the point where it kind of outweighs the increase, but if you've played this game before and are looking for a slightly spicier experience, it absolutely delivers. Interestingly, the Challenge Medal was functionally removed in the shockingly unpopular 3DS remake. There is still an item in the game called the Challenge Medal, but it acts like the Great Force equip from Superstar Saga and doubles the damage that you deal and receive. This means your enemies deal less damage to you than the original Challenge Medal, while you're also dealing double damage to them. This is an easy mode, not a hard mode. So we'll be playing on the DS version that honestly just never needed a remake to begin with. You can't start the game with the Challenge Medal, but you can unlock it very early in the story. You obtain it by getting A rank in the green shell minigame, meaning you have to kick the shell back and forth 150 times. The earliest you can do this is immediately after fighting the Scutlet boss in Bowser's Flame Pipe, which unfortunately means you miss out on harder versions of the first two non-tutorial bosses. However, with a bit of movie magic, aka a silly little cheat code, we can force our inventory to contain 99 challenge medals from the very start of the game. So I was able to load into my save file, fight the tutorial Bowser boss and tutorial Bacteria Goomba, and then equip it as soon as Starlo gave me access to the menu. Oh, and before you ask, equipping more than one of them doesn't do anything. Believe me, we would have had a very different intro if they did. So with that, let's begin Bowser's Inside Story hard mode. Can it top Dream Team as the hardest official Mario RPG? It certainly tops it in terms of pacing, if that's anything to go by. Seriously, Inside Story is on the slower side and is still breezy compared to Dream Team. It also has a really strong opening in which the main villain violates the Geneva Protocol. Fawful, a character from a neighboring kingdom, inflicts a debilitating disease on the people of the Mushroom Kingdom. He inflates them. There's a lot of that in this game, by the way. You can't make a video about this game without making a joke about it. Fawful gives Bowser the vacuum shroom, makes him inhale a bunch of stuff, and boom, the game starts out with the villain having already won. Bowser's Inside Story really comes out swinging. And despite Starlo yapping up a storm whenever possible, you get the hammers and the first bros attack in the first area. The early enemies have very easy dodges since this is, the beginning of the game, but I ended up making a decision that had serious ramifications on the difficulty of this run. I made this into a stash-only run as well, meaning that when I level up, the only stat I'm allowed to put extra points into is Stash. Stash is this game's luck stat, so it increases your chance at getting lucky hits, and it also gives you better discounts in shops later in the game. It is absolutely not optimal to upgrade your stash compared to just increasing your power so every hit deals more damage. The only stat that could be worse to min-max might be speed, but stash is much funnier because it gives the impression that a bigger, better mustache makes them luckier. Bowser has an equivalent horn stat, so we're going to be making Bowser as horny as he can possibly be. So anyways, after clearing the first area, we can now smack Bowser's funny bone to shock him awake and let him take over for a bit. There's a tutorial fight against Midbus that I was really hoping would break by increasing enemy stats earlier than intended, but it played out completely normally and we were all disappointed. Black Beach contains some more tame beginner enemies, but it also includes the French. Brock Monsieur is very cubicle and very French, and somehow he got stranded on this tiny little island. He bribes Bowser with a special block, and after Bowser pulls the island over using the world's strongest rope, it's revealed that the block gives Bowser the ability to inhale during battle. This leads to a tutorial fight that is shockingly long when his health and defense are increased. Have you ever wondered what Brock is like in the French version of the game? His dialogue is reversed to be mostly French with sprinklings of English, and his name is Charlie Block. Fucking Charlie Block. You can inhale Charles to practice using the move in battle, but he immediately climbs back out, which defies literally every single rule established about being inside Bowser's body up to this point. Something that I didn't know despite playing this game many times as a kid is that being persistent and inhaling him several times will cause him to actually stay and fight Mario and Luigi for a bit. You can grind like 10 extra coins this way, but otherwise Bowser's damage output is much higher, so you should just stick with that. And shortly after this fight, we encounter the first proper boss fight in the game. That's right, nobody shouts instructions or button timings at us, finally. It is I who nuts to that. The C-Pipe statue is bulky without hard mode, and with it, we're in for a grind. Reminder that we still aren't supposed to have access to the challenge medal until after the next boss. Bowser can't attack the statue other than with counterattacks, but he is able to inhale the blooper and let Mario and Luigi deal damage to it. The real damage comes from when it flies back out and gets stuck in punch range, but a bit of extra damage from Green Shell certainly doesn't hurt my feelings. While inside Bowser, the blooper can drill into the flesh floor and deal unblockable damage to Bowser. This does receive the 2.5 times POW stat buff, and this results in Bowser taking 50% more unblockable damage, which really adds up over the course of the fight. I'm legitimately needing to use heals in the first boss fight, which is definitely a step up from normal mode. I managed to get my first instance of the Fury status during this fight. The exact mechanics as to how Fury works was somewhat recently studied and published by JDAster64. Yes, that JDAster64 that's made some of the best TTYD mods of all time, so I'll link his video below if you want an in-depth explanation as to how Fury status is obtained. TLDR, Bowser has a chance to get fucking pissed each turn that he takes damage, and this chance goes up as the fight goes on. When he's fucking pissed, his attack power is doubled, and he apparently only takes an extra 10% damage from enemies in the DS version, so that's honestly an incredibly worthwhile trade-off. This fight is very grindy with the unintended challenge medal use, but I bet this would look really cool if I just cut together Bowser's punches until it died. Yeah, that was pretty good. Afterwards, Bowser is a little thirsty and decides to drink approximately 5,000 times his body's volume in water. This gives a way for Bowser to interact with the Pumpworks area in his body to help Mario and Luigi explore, and can I just say that, wow, challenge medal makes some of these normal enemies very tanky. The Spiny-alikes are from the trash pit before, so they aren't too bad, but these bubble bloopers and proto-batters just do not quit. The green shell is still okay for the proto-batters, but I'm relegated to normal jumps and counters for the bubble bloopers, and it takes a while. The most important thing to remember in this area and pretty much every Mario and Luigi area in the game are to get all of the attack pieces. Most Bros attacks are technically optional since you can just skip the attack pieces and clear the area without all of them, but in hard mode we definitely want every option at our disposal. The one we unlock here is the Fire Flower, which is kind of funky in this game. You take turns spamming fireballs with Mario or Luigi, and then after a few swaps you get to spam fireballs with both of them. The fireball throwing tends to trip you up and makes this attack feel kinda poo-poo, but is the damage poo-poo? Let's try it on the next boss, the Scutlet that blocks Bowser's flame pipe. Yup, it's poo-poo. At least right now. With Scutlet's hugely increased stats and Mario and Luigi's brilliant mustaches, it ended up being more worth it to just spam jumps and counterattacks to increase my DPS. Yes, I am actually playing a turn-based RPG, a Mario and Luigi game, no less, with regard for damage per second. The animations for Green Shell and especially Fire Flower just make them much slower to use here, and Scutlet's counter timings are lenient and let me deal additional damage, so it just makes more sense to speed things up. His damage is quite high, but he just barely can't one-shot either bro, so I had a lot of leeway to heal myself and keep plugging away. If you couldn't tell, this fight was not balanced with challenge medal in mind. Which, I mean, I can't complain too much about since we inflicted this on ourselves. So, 9 minutes later, the bug is killed and Bowser regains his ability to breathe fire. Just a reminder, this is now the earliest point in the game you can legitimately obtain the challenge medal. So, just for posterity, I decided to head over to the Callista Road and earn it from the Green Shell minigame. 150 back and forth kicks later, I beat it on the first try, and yeah, honestly, it's not too hard. Charlie comes back with his matching cubicle dog this time, and Bowser ends up fighting the dog, Broggy, as a tutorial fight for his Fire Breath. Not only does Bowser have his Fire Breath as an attack option now, but he can also duck with Y as an additional dodge type. I guess he just didn't remember that he could crouch until he has his flame back? I'd ask if he's stupid, but it's kind of a big thing in this game that, yeah, he's stupid. Afterwards, we reach Dimblewood, where Bowser stands a much better chance against the standard enemies compared to Mario and Luigi's experience in the Pump Works. Treevilles are the main enemies here and they're weak to fire, making them actually pretty good for leveling up Bowser. There's also the Trashers, these stupid little chest enemies that love to run away. With the challenge medal on, they almost always ran away before I could defeat any of them. Now this is the part of the game where we get Blitty. Charlie and his dog appear once again and task us with finding all the different Blitties contained within each enemy type in the game. This means we have to use Vacuum at least once against every unique Bowser enemy we encounter, but the reward is very worth it later, so I kept up with it throughout the run. After another muscle minigame like we did with the island and the rope earlier, Bowser rescues the first minion group in the game, the Goombas. This means Bowser can now use special attacks, although unfortunately the Goombas aren't much better than regular punches, and Bowser has no SP to speak of right now. Next up, Bowser finds Private Goomp, Corporal Paraplonk, and Sergeant Guy, who all escaped from Bowser's castle with a big-ass cannon when Fawful attacked. They forgot to bring ammo, so Bowser heads off into the woods to look for a bonsai bill. He instead finds this carrot, which for some reason he thinks could possibly work in the cannon, even though that is not how cannons work, and after pulling it up in another muscle minigame, he gets berated by Wiggler. This is where you get to play another minigame, the infamous carrot minigame. Bowser chomps on pieces of the carrot and you have to help him digest it as Mario and Luigi by using the DS touchscreen. Each round of carrot pieces will spawn one piece, with a digestive enzyme as indicated by the sparkle visual and sound effect. If you skimmed through the text and the rules when you were a kid, I can totally see why you'd struggle with this minigame. The enzyme spawns right when the effect starts playing, so it's generally 1 or 2 pieces before you actually react to it, and this can definitely trip you up. I say you because it does not trip me up. Easy. 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 Pretty good. Easy. Easy. 49 seconds left. Wiggler, who forced Bowser to eat the carrot, gets pissed at Bowser for eating the carrot, and then we're thrown into our next boss fight. Wiggler is honestly quite a contender, boasting a pretty hefty health pool for a boss that needs to be stunned before you can actually damage him. I got pretty much the ideal first 2 turns against this guy. I punched his butt to turn the back segment yellow, and then he immediately used his charge attack that lets you counter and hit the other 3 segments. And this beautiful combo right here is why you always want to prioritize hitting Wiggler from the back. Once all of Wiggler's segments have turned yellow, you get 2 turns to actually attack him. The second turn immediately showed us another layer of this fight. Leaf guys. They spawn on the top screen with a giant turnip and intend to drop it on Bowser on the next turn. With 2.5 times POW, this would absolutely one-tap Bowser, but fortunately, inhaling them drops the turnip on Wiggler instead. If you haven't already stunned Wiggler, then this will turn all of his segments yellow, but if you have already, then he will take damage from the turnip. 77 damage is quite solid, but unfortunately Mario and Luigi are still disgustingly weak and take a long time to knock out these leaf guys. It took 2 minutes to beat these little butt enemies, even though they are weak to our newest bros attack. And the reason that 77 damage with the turnip is so impressive and good is that I was only able to deal 60 damage with an excellent Goomba Storm. Wiggler followed up with his charge attack a second time, meaning I could smack his ass, stun him, and lay some damage on him again. This fight is very cyclical and Wiggler has some very easy dodges. I ended up leaning on punches more since they did just over 40 damage and the Goomba attack just isn't strong enough to justify using it and having to manage SP. After a few more damage cycles, some more leaf guys spawned, so I had to suck them up and fight them as Mario and Luigi yet again. And just like with the Scutlet, it was much more worth it to spam jumps so I could counterattack and save the long animations of the bros attacks. Genuine DPS strategies more than once in this playthrough was not something I expected. After dealing with the second set of leaf guys, I got another set a few turns later. Fortunately, after I got through those, Bowser was able to finish Wiggler off before any more of those stupid leaf guys spawned. Immediately following this fight, Bowser gets a tummy ache. A bad tummy ache. Mario and Luigi investigate, and yeah, this big-ass bug apparently got eaten alongside the carrot. This bug is called the Dermite, and wow, is it tanky. I think it's pretty bulky under normal circumstances, but with challenge metal, this deadass might have been the longest single attempt of any fight in the whole run. My green shells only deal 20 damage, and a decent fire flower use dealt 17. This once again makes the bros' regular jumps better bang for the buck, since I don't have the syrup jars or the patience to do these long animations for marginally more damage. However, that sentiment quickly went out the window when I remembered the straw. Seemingly every turn, this thing has a chance to spawn a straw that heals it for 40 HP every turn that it's active.
That's bad.
If I wasn't able to just barely one-shot the straw with a green shell, I probably would have had to go grind levels to be able to beat this. She can summon this straw multiple turns in a row, but sometimes she would grant me the leniency of only every other turn. With green shells now a necessity, I would have to top up my SP often, and this led to very few turns where I could actually damage the Dermite. Fortunately, the bros were each able to survive a hit from full health, so whenever I occasionally messed up these pretty easy dodges, I had time to heal at the expense of missing damage for another turn. This fight literally took 25 minutes, and it honestly wasn't that exciting. Fortunately, from here on out though, the fights get a lot more interesting. Okay, well, aside from the very next boss, which happens immediately after and is the first giant Bowser battle in the game, Bowser gets crushed by his own castle, and Mario and Luigi must travel to Bowser's ass in order to revive him. Look, this area is called the rump command, so don't shoot the messenger. Shoot the adrenaline instead. This causes Bowser to become very big and your DS to become very sideways. I've always thought the concept of flipping the system to get a different perspective for these fights was a neat gimmick, but the downside is that the entire thing is played with the touchscreen. It's pretty gimmicky, but most of it is done pretty well and is fun enough, but I definitely prefer the traditional boss fights. It's also very funny that the first giant boss is Bowser's own castle. The part that sucks the most about these giant battles is definitely the fire breath, since you have to blow into your actual DS microphone to perform the attack. The remake changed the fire breath to also use the touchscreen, which is a welcome change for a certain later giant battle, but they didn't have the decency to keep our hard mode, so we're gonna have to blow. And the reason that I'm just reminiscing on the giant battle mechanics instead of talking about hard mode is because the challenge medal doesn't apply to giant fights. Given the fact that they also have fixed stats, these fights are completely the same as they would be in a normal playthrough. Dream Team's hard mode giant battles were one of the hardest parts of the game, but here we're just gonna have to skim over them because they aren't affected by the whole thing we're doing here. After defeating the castle, Bowser continues on through Bumpsy Plains, Bowser Path, and then he arrives at the castle he just fought. The Fliffits in Bumpsy Plains are very good for leveling Bowser up since they're weak to fire and die pretty quickly, but then the Chain Choffles on Bowser Path are awful for leveling up because they take so damn long to kill. The XP is pretty good, I guess, but they're just way too bulky with the challenge medal. On Bowser Path, we can also recruit the Shy Guy Squad, who give us a special attack of the same name. This lets Bowser do one really big hit, and it's pretty solid. There's one final arm muscle minigame to play, the castle gets put down to the ground for good, and we can head inside. This part of the game is so effective at building up the threat of Fawful. The minions being brainwashed and pissing Bowser off is entertaining, but the overall vibe is just so interesting. It's so cool to get to experience a time where the villain has actually won, because each victory that you have feels like you're regaining control, I don't know. This replay of the game really reminded me how damn solid it is, but you probably know that already, so let's fight the next boss. Fawful's big show in his newly taken over Fawful Theater consists of him aura farming and then pitting Bowser against Midbus in a cage match. This boss fight is somewhat of a difficulty spike, and this is especially true in hard mode. Midbus gets over 1400 HP, which is almost as impressive as his attack stat. Despite Bowser being a reasonable level and wearing up-to-date gear, Midbus can two-shot me with any combination of attacks. I unfortunately found this out the hard way. He has two variations of the attack where he balls up and leaps above to slam down on you, one where he actually tries to hit Bowser, and one where he lands right in front of Bowser and triggers a shockwave. The former is a really easy duck timing, but the latter is a decently tight punch timing, and it was only survivable if I was at basically full HP. I wasn't. So we will now introduce the death counter for the very first time in the video. A very warm welcome to you, little death counter. You have much work to do. The second time around, I took healing a little more seriously. I had a slight scare a bit of the way into the fight. Oh. No way! He tipped me over? Oh, okay. I thought that I was gonna guaranteed die there, but it gave me my turn back. I mainly just spammed punches so I could get that counter damage DPS, but I was also kind of saving my special moves for when Fury status inevitably triggered. I mean, the odds of you getting it go up with damage taken and stuff, so I figured I should just wait to unleash double damage Shy Guy squads. Somehow, it never triggered. In fact, spoilers for the rest of the run, I never got Fury status ever again. So I kept up the punch routine and finished him off with a Shy Guy squad that did a pretty respectable 124 damage. Afterwards, we get our retinas graced with the writer's very poorly disguised interests. Bowser gets force-fed a ton of high-calorie foods, becomes very fat, and then he gets stuck in the floor. People have joked about this since time immemorial, so I'll spare you any more of this time. Bowser's chunkining lets Mario and Luigi access the Flab Zone, where we meet easily the tankiest and most tedious normal enemies in the entire Challenge Medal run. At this point, Mario and Luigi's damage output is low, and we don't have good bros attacks for, like, actually killing things. The Tenderlings, and especially the Calorites, are just deviously squishy and soak up damage. There are two very important things we can unlock in this area: badges and a fantastic bros attack. Badges are going to be a bit anticlimactic in this video because I was pretty much immediately challenged to never use them at all. Normally, you can build up the meter with action commands and use different combos of badges to heal yourself, buff your attacks, etc., but for this run, my meter will just sit unloved in the corner for the entire time. The bros attack we can unlock in this area is probably the second best, maybe even the best one in the entire game, and is relevant from now until the very end. Meet Jump Helmet, who you're about to learn everything about as we prop up this entire playthrough with its springy little platform. I've seen a ton of misconceptions about how this attack works, so let's cue the Mario 64 file select music. Jump Helmet is a partially RNG dependent attack. You have to perform it correctly or you won't get good results, but even when performed optimally, you still have a chance to get a great rating instead of an excellent. To receive an excellent rating, you need to bounce on the helmet 5 times before attacking the enemy. Since the distance between the start of the attack and the enemy is the same every time, you want to minimize the distance Mario covers with every bounce. Landing within the center of the helmet will give the least distance, and then there are 2 more thresholds you can hit on the edge of the helmet that make it less likely or even impossible for you to get an excellent, but let's put all skill issues aside and assume you hit the center and press A every time. Most people seem to think that landing to the right of the center will propel Mario further forward than if you land to the left of the center, but this is not true. As long as Mario goes and does his little flip, you're good. You did it correctly. No matter where you land within this center zone, Mario will go one of 2 distances: a shorter bounce or a longer bounce. There is a 50-50 chance for either outcome. So why does this matter? Well, if you roll 4 longer bounces in a row from the start of the attack, you will not have enough room to do a 5th bounce and will attack the enemy with a great rating despite bouncing correctly every time. This is like flipping a coin unfavorably 4 times in a row, meaning you have a 1 in 16 or 6.25% chance to get scammed out of an excellent despite not making any mistakes. And yes, the 4 bounce version indeed deals less damage. On the other end of the spectrum, it is possible to roll 5 short bounces in a row, which gives you just enough room to do the elusive 6th bounce. 5 favorable coin flips in a row is a 1 in 32 chance, so you have a 3.125% chance to get a 6 bounce jump helmet, which will actually deal about 10% more damage than a 5 bounce. There's actually a solid explanation as to why people think that landing right or left of center affects your distance, other than it just being admittedly intuitive. And that would be the endless jump helmet minigame. Yes, in this minigame, your exact position on the helmet, even if you land within the center, will determine how far you go rather than using RNG the way the bros attack does. Why this distinction exists, I have no idea. Maybe the developers thought jump helmet was too hard as a bros attack otherwise? And for the record, this isn't just conjecture or an observation made based on messing messing around for a little bit. A while back, JDaster64 dug into the programming for Jump Helmet and proved that the Bros Attack version uses RNG instead of exact positioning. I trust JDaster's findings on Mario mechanics the way that I trusted my mother to care for me when I was a child. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to Gamer Guy Dude for sharing a bunch of this information with me. I genuinely learned a ton of new things on this playthrough because of his knowledge. At the end of the Flab Zone, we catch up to these balls that kidnapped Peach earlier. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to mention that Peach is finally back in play after getting inhaled at the beginning of the game. Peach kinda does nothing in this game except for be a damsel in distress, and it's honestly pretty disappointing when this game has such strong characterizations of Mario, Luigi, and especially Bowser. This boss, though, is pretty cool in my opinion. It starts in a form called the Alpha Cretin and is made up of red and green balls. Each one can only be damaged by the bro that matches their color, although a bro's attack will let either bro target the color of the bro that initiated the attack. For example, if Mario uses a fire flower, then Luigi's fireballs can still damage all the red ones while the green ones shield up. This phase lasts a while with the stat buff, but once we defeat all of them, we can start wailing on it with Jump Helmet in the Beta Cretin phase. It still does a kinda disappointing 44 damage on a full 5 bounce hit, but that isn't too bad given this boss's relatively low health. The attack it does with its clones in the beta phase is kinda neat, but very lenient on timing and very tedious to watch after a while. After several turns of the beta phase, the Cretin will reform into the alpha phase and you gotta take them down again, but fortunately I was able to beat it after just 2 breaks. Jump Helmet DPS my fucking goat. After all this, Fawful extracts Peach from Bowser's body with a laser gun somehow, and Bowser very disturbingly tells Fawful to put her back. Fawful doesn't listen and takes the now unconscious Peach away so he can use her pure heart or something to awaken the Dark Star. And spoiler alert, she quite literally stays unconscious and does not speak again until the end of the game. At least we got her appearance in Super Paper Mario a couple years prior where she was actually cool and did things. Fawful also gives Bowser a treadmill so that he can lose all of the weight he gained. This move makes zero sense from Fawful's perspective. Bowser is completely incapacitated, so why help him become... what's the opposite of incapacitated? Capacitated? Why help him become capacitated again when you know that he's hell-bent on stopping you? I get that Fawful's just being cocky and not taking Bowser seriously as a threat, and that obviously the game needs Bowser back to normal for the story to continue, but what's Fawful's in-universe reason for this? Is it just sheer fat phobia? Bowser schmoves so hard on this fucking treadmill that he catches on fire, loses all the weight, and then gets blown across the entire kingdom by accidentally lighting his stash of bob-ombs on fire. He is mildly inconvenienced by this and now needs to escape the tunnel that he fell into. In this area, we meet Choombas, and they're probably the most unnecessarily tanky Bowser enemy in the run. They're easy to dodge, but they just soak up damage like everything else in the mid-game. The XP they give is only okay, so I skipped most of them in this area. Bowser finds the Monty Bros, helps them drill a tunnel into Toad Town, and then gets completely cooked by a weird security system in the Toad Town caves. This shock opens up the Pipe Yard area in Bowser's body, allowing Mario and Luigi to finally escape and experience the third dimension again. We need to try and catch up with Fawful before he gets the Dark Star, but first we have to go do a quick little side quest to unlock the Blue Shell and our next Bros Attack. The Blue Shell is just an area-specific puzzle-solving tool, and the Bros Attack in question is one of the worst ones in hard mode. Yeah, I'm sorry to come out as a Yoo-Hoo Cannon hater, but I gave this attack a genuine try multiple times in the run, and it just sucks. You get 8 hits, 4 with Mario and 4 with Luigi, that randomly distribute across enemies. The randomness makes it much less consistent than Fire Flower for spread damage, and the 8 hits just aren't strong when my POW is so low and the enemy's defense is so high. It is simply much better to just use Jump Helmet multiple times than it is to try and chip away at enemies with Yoo-Hoo Cannon. I even found Fire Flower's spread damage was comparable when I mashed really good. Like very good. I had to hold my 3DS sideways and mash the buttons with each of my thumbs, and the burn chance and cheaper SP cost just make it better. Mario and Luigi fail to catch up to Fawful, he gets the Dark Star, and we have to regroup in Toad Town to figure out what to do next. This is the point where we link up with Dr. Toadley and get to fight our other playable character. I've always thought it was super cool that you fight Bowser at this point despite him being one of your own guys, and it's even cooler that he has pretty much the same moveset that you do when you play as him. He can use the Goomba and Shy Guy squad attacks, can punch you, and can even breathe fire. The only disappointing thing about this is I wish there was a place in the game where you, playing as Bowser, could fight Mario and Luigi. Even if they did a thing where you could win in battle, but after the fight Mario and Luigi Luigi beat him anyways in the story, it would have been such a cool parallel. As for this boss fight, Bowser has over 1800 health with the challenge medal, and god damn, where did he get all that? He only has like 200 on my copy. This fight helps prove exactly what I mean about Yoo-Hoo Cannon. A jump helmet here deals 56 damage without a lucky hit, while a Yoo-Hoo Cannon deals 58 with luckies sprinkled in. Jump helmet is cheaper and gets way bigger luckies when it does hit them. And that, of course, is happening more and more often as Mario and Luigi's mustaches grow ever longer. Bowser's most threatening attack is probably the Goomba Storm, since it has 2 phases where you have many hits to dodge. Each bro gets 2 tapped by Goombas, so there's not a ton of room for error here. His Shy Guy Squad and punch attacks both one-shot, but will only ever go for 1 bro at a time, giving me time to heal even if I do mess up. His Fire Breath attack, where you have to latch onto Starlo and fly out of the way, is completely free, so overall this fight isn't too bad. This is the point in the game where bosses start to get a lot more threatening at lower health, since they begin to attack 2 times per turn. This was true for previous bosses as well, but that Goomba Storm really increases the pressure here. Fortunately, all his attacks are just easy enough that I didn't really struggle. Man, if there was like a harder version of this fight, that sure would be pretty difficult, right? Anyways, Toadley tasks us with finding the 3 star cures, which will help us break the blockade in front of Peach's castle and cure that disease from the game's intro. That's right, this is the trademark Mario and Luigi mid to late game fetch quest. At least all the areas we go to are new, so it isn't quite backtracking. The first sage that holds the first star cure is apparently the Dermite from earlier, so Mario and Luigi head back into Bowser's body and chase it into the energy hold. It escapes under this barrier, so Bowser is back up to the plate for a bit and he gets to explore Blubble Lake. This segment is quite short, and the main gimmick in this area is Bowser's sneeze minigames. Flicking around the pollen with Mario and Luigi will cause Bowser to do a big sneeze, and this gets used to ram a ship through some rocks blocking the way. Gotta say, not a big fan of the sneeze minigame. The touch controls feel really shoehorned in on this one and just feel like kind of a sloppy way to control the bros. Right beyond those rocks we broke are the Koopa Core. They're a pretty good special attack, but Bowser's standard attacks are generally enough for regular fights, and it's going to be quite some time before Bowser does a traditional boss fight again, so the Koopas won't see much use for a bit. And speaking of standard enemies, the ones here are actually pretty good for grinding, especially these freaky looking Crawfuls. They have the ability to summon a bean and heal themselves for 60 HP, which sounds like it would make this very tedious, but by using Bowser's vacuum, you can steal their dentures right out of their mouths. This makes it so that they can't eat the bean, they spit it out and then shoot it all the way around the world, where it comes back and hits them from behind. This inflicts dizzy status on them, which is just a stun in this game. The other main enemy in this area, the Bee-Hoss, has a double burn chance compared to standard, making them also easy to stun. Overall, Bowser has stood a much better chance against his standard enemies than Mario and Luigi have at every point in this run so far. I've still been investing in Bowser's horn stat for every single level up, but his attack naturally increases much faster than Mario and Luigi's, so honestly the luck maxing just isn't nearly as bad for Bowser. Maybe he was born to be horny. Eventually Bowser does one final sneeze, and then he dies. Again, should we be adding these to the death counter? We can once again revive him by shooting adrenaline in his butt, and that puts us into the second giant battle against Tower of Yik. This one's fine. Just like before, I think the touch controls are okay here, and the whole objective of the fight is to knock Yik into the water so you can punch his head and just don't die while trying to do that. It's pretty simple. His attacks are quite lenient, and because of this, I won easily while making pretty much every possible mistake you could even make. Not affected by hard mode, let's move on. After defeating this tower, Bowser can enter it because apparently all of his giant bosses are just levels, and at the top we find the Ghost of Yik. And more importantly, we find his Boo Ray machine, which lets Bowser X-ray himself. He can't see Mario and Luigi or anything, he just sees a vague silhouette of himself. Honestly, this was kind of a missed opportunity for Bowser to find out Mario and Luigi were inside of him, or at least make him suspicious of it. The effect from this X-ray lets us explore the energy hold, allowing Mario and Luigi to continue chasing Dermite. The energy hold contains some enemies that are finally reasonable for Mario and Luigi to kill. I'm starting to get a little underleveled at this point, so thankfully the Naps guys and the Stat Peps are actually weak to dying. The same cannot be said for the other two regular enemies in this area, the Piranha Plorp and the Pwallop. Each one of these guys is functionally a mini-boss. They both one-shot me and have ridiculous amounts of defense. I quite literally fought one of each of them and decided it was not worth it ever again, and I ran away from all other fights containing them. This area is quite lengthy, but I've always found the partial star panel puzzles to be pretty fun. We unlock the Drill Overworld ability, and this allows us to start tapping into this game's massive selection of beans. Hidden all across the world, mostly million underground drill spots are stat-boosting beans. In total, the game has 127 heart beans, 70 special beans, and 54 power beans. These are consumables that let you permanently increase one character's HP, SP, or POW stats depending on which type of bean you use. Before I had even made up my mind on what to do with them, I was challenged by Nuclear Waffle to not use beans for the entire story. Honestly, based. I think upgrading my actually important stats would take away from the entire point of a stash-only run. The only other thing of note before we move on to this area's boss is the 5th Bros attack, Super Bouncer. I honestly think it's better in hard mode than it is normally. It targets randomly and hits 8 times like Yoo-Hoo Cannon, however it does have some advantages in the way that it calculates damage. The attack's damage is based on the POW stat of whichever bro initiated the attack, despite the fact that it's always Luigi bouncing on the enemy. Mario's natural POW stat is roughly 20% higher than Luigi's, so this means we can squeeze out a little bit more damage compared to Yoo-Hoo Cannon, which is always split between Mario and Luigi's damage. This really doesn't make a huge difference right now, but soon we'll acquire gear to make Mario into a full glass cannon and Luigi into a defensive beast with no POW to speak of, and that distinction makes Super Bouncer a solid choice for Mario to use specifically. Right now, Mario is wearing fighter wear, which gives him 5 extra attack, but a lot less defense than the latest armor. The thing is, 5 POW is literally a 10% increase because of the whole stash-only thing. One more interesting thing about Super Bouncer, there's actually a small bug that makes it so you can only get lucky hits when Luigi uses it. Lucky hits are rare enough in a normal playthrough where you barely invest in stash, but in this run, it is very noticeable that Luigi constantly gets luckies while Mario never does. And speaking of small bugs, we can finally catch up to Dermite, who is actually Wisderm, the Sage. And this small bug has a small coding bug of its own, and it relates to the challenge medal. When you start the fight, Wisderm is in her tiny bug form, but she'll transform into a more sage-like form after getting hit a few times. And when she transforms, she loses the POW and defense buffs given by the challenge medal. Her health remains increased by 50%, but the other 2 stat increases are gone from either form for the rest of the fight. This means her attacks don't even two-shot me, I can kind of deal damage even with my low base attack, and there's just really no threat of dying. This is honestly pretty disappointing for this run since Wisderm is a great boss fight, but I can't say I was too upset about the fight only taking around 10 minutes instead of like 20 plus. After her defeat, she grants us the Star Cure and we unlock the Joint Tower in Bowser's body. I knew Toadbert was chill as fuck because he wastes no time pulling up to the Joint Tower. He instructs us to destroy these very important looking bones so we can teach Bowser how to body slam. The body slam lets Bowser escape the Tower of Yik, and shortly afterwards we're informed that the second Star Cure is held by Cuzzle, a Koopa who lives on Plaque Beach. Apparently Bowser got this Star Cure at some point prior to the events of this game by doing a puzzle with Cuzzle. That does not sound like something Bowser would do, but indeed the Star Cure is locked at the bottom of Bowser's castle. I headed for Bowser Path, but I had to end stream early this day, so I ended with some light sticker star and picked up the second Star Cure quest next time. Fortunately, you don't have to wait at all. We storm back into Bowser's castle, and I gotta say, this part of the game goes hard. Earlier, Fawful was actively hanging out in Bowser's castle and had total control of Bowser's every move. This time, Fawful is holed up in Peach's castle with the Dark Star, so Bowser can kinda just do whatever he wants. His own brainwashed minions try to stop him from pushing this big Fawful statue in the second and final leg minigame, and they barely even put up a fight. The enemies in this area are also fantastic for leveling up Bowser. The jail goons can spawn in Goomba or Bob-omb flavors that are exactly the same except for one small detail. Fire breath attacks instantly kill the Bob-omb variants. You still get the full XP from them, so this makes them one of the easiest enemies to kill in the entire game. The Sniffle Thwomps in this area are also quite easy to kill because you can inhale their ice packs to make their headaches worse and cause them to take almost 90 passive damage per turn. Unlike the bros, Bowser really didn't get too underleveled at any point because his fights weren't monumental tasks the same way that Mario and Luigi's were. But unfortunately, half of his boss fights use fixed stats, making his level a lot less of an issue for most of the game. And speaking of those fights with fixed stats, at the end of this area we fight the most infamous one in the game, the Fawful Express. This fight is known as by far the most difficult giant battle in the game, and for all the wrong reasons. Shoutouts to Bowser for genuinely being able to stop the train by just pushing against it. Like seriously, he had that shit on lock until he stubbed his toe. But unfortunately, he dies again, needs butt stuff to live again, and then becomes huge. Again. The main gimmick with the Fawful Express is that it can't be hit by Bowser's punches due to being very small. Yup, this is the fight that I alluded to earlier that sucks on the original version because you have to use fire breath and therefore have to blow on your DS mic properly in order to deal optimal damage. damage. This fight runs on a pretty strict time limit since the Monty Bros will make their way towards the end of the track where Bowser will fall into a pit and die when he tries to cross the bridge. You can only afford to get a handful of ratings lower than an excellent on the Fire Breath, and you need consistent counterattacks and dodges since you can't really afford a healing turn and need all of that extra damage. This fight may not be affected by hard mode, and honestly it doesn't really need it, but the reason I'm showing this much of it to you is because there's a funny technique that speedrunners have sometimes used to make the DS blowing more consistent. Apparently by using a bent open paperclip, or in my case a tiny little SIM card removal tool, you can rub the microphone while blowing and it makes excellent hits with the Fire Breath much more consistent. I gotta try the tool assisted method. I gotta violate this 3DS mic. Hey, look at that! I actually got an excellent. What? Why is it so consistent? I can't believe this is banned from speedruns for being tool assisted. Either my blowing was goated or this technique actually works because I first tried Fawful Express with no issue. Bowser apparently forgot the safe combination for the Star Cure when getting rammed by the train because I guess memory loss is a side effect after your third death, so Mario and Luigi need to head into his brain to find the memory. Bowser's immune system, I guess, detects Mario and Luigi as a threat and conjures the most powerful form Bowser can remember to defend his body. And coincidentally, it's us. And unlike us in this playthrough, these guys are strong as fuck. My damage output against these guys was truly awful. All of the best Bros attacks in the game become available within a few hours after this fight, so we're stuck with Super Bouncer and Jump Helmet as our very best. The M memory is more offense focused while the L memory is more of a tank. L memory will run away for a few turns after being hit twice, which almost always forces you to kill M memory faster. But the real issue with this fight is that Mario gets one shot by everything because of his stupid fighter wear, and some of the hammer counter timings are decently precise. Seriously, watch this. I forgot he can heal Mario before he's dead. Oh god. No! He jar beefed too close to the sun! How did I even fuck that up? Dizzy? No! I messed up and got dizzied, so now I lose! Are you kidding? And that's the second death of the playthrough. I would have probably been able to recover from that if not for the fucking dizzy status, but I think it's fitting enough that Mario and Luigi lost to Mario and Luigi. On my second attempt, I focused as hard as I could on L memory with jump helmets, and when he was gone, I focused on M memory with Super Bouncer. Super Bouncer did marginally higher damage since M memory has relatively low defense, but honestly it wasn't worth how tedious the animation gets after several uses of it. Once Fake Mario goes down, Fake Luigi will revive him with around 100 health and is able to run away again to stall even further. Fortunately, aside from those hammer counters that aren't even that bad, the other attacks they have are completely free to dodge, especially this invincibility star one. I beat them with only one additional death added to our ongoing counter. After defeating the Guardians, Bowser's brain cooperates with us and helps us do a puzzle to reassemble Bowser's memory of the safe combination. He enters the code and gets locked in the safe by those 3 minion guys from earlier. Bowser, out of frustration, decides to eat the Star Cure? This has always been such a silly plot point to me. I know he eats a bunch of stuff throughout the game, but that's with the vacuum ability caused by the mushroom Fawful gave him. Regardless, this gets the Star Cure into Mario and Luigi's possession, and now they just leave him in the safe in an undisclosed location to go look for the third and final Star Cure. This quest takes us to Plaque Beach again, technically, and there's actually quite a big gap in required bosses here. This is the first point in the game where Mario and Luigi are really encouraged to explore the rest of the Mushroom Kingdom, so there's a lot of stuff to do. I decided to immediately go take on this game's only optional boss outside of the Gauntlet, the Shroobs. These guys return as a cameo from the previous game, Partners in Time, and they behave pretty similarly to that game. However, they do have 750 HP each with the challenge medal, so they are much squishier than the regular Shroobs in Partners. There's a trick to pretty much remove any threat of messing up dodges. The Shroobs will either attack by pairing up with another or by shooting a single laser on their own. When the back one pairs up with either of the front ones, the lasers get offset and you have to actually pay attention, which I just just can't be bothered to do. The thing is, it seems like the back shroob never does this pair attack as long as both of the front ones are alive, so if you target the back one first, you can just brain off and dodge their very easy laser timings repeatedly. It took a long time to get through all of their health since their defense is quite high, but I didn't get hit a single time and destroyed them. And besides Jump Helmet, we unlock the other best bros attack from this fight, Magic Window. Jump Helmet is still generally more damage per SP spent, but Magic Window has the fun gimmick of being the only potentially infinite bros attack in the game. The button timing gets quite tight and it's hard to get super far beyond excellent without some practice, but it's really fun and really rewarding to push as far as you can. Next, I headed to Plaque Beach to finally continue the story, except there's another optional bros attack we can get here, so the story's gonna have to pause again. For some reason, this game really wanted to be a Jigsaw-like instead of an RPG, so there's another puzzle we can do with Cuzzle. I mentioned him earlier, but yes, he's a Koopa that likes puzzles. His name is very clever. By completing his latest puzzle, you can earn the Spin Pipe bros attack, which is pretty mediocre and very similar to Super Bouncer, but it has one attribute that makes it marginally more useful. Spin Pipe and Green Shell are the only two bros attacks in the game that are single target but also serial. And no, I'm not talking about Lucky Charms or some shit. I'm talking about the fact that they will aim for one enemy but then change to another target if the original target gets defeated. Everything else is either random target or single target, and I know this doesn't sound special, but I'll point out when this specific mechanic becomes useful later, so stay tuned. Now we can finally actually do the story again. Summiting the cliff near Cuzzle's house will lead us to Chakran, a sage that has apparently been meditating in this position for the last 1,000 years. He's also the guy that psychically speaks to Bowser and lets him use fast travel. Chakran refuses to give us the Star Cure unless we can knock him out of his pose. The only way to do that is to use the third of 3 bros attacks that you are required to unlock during the story. This attack is hidden in Dimblewood, so we'll have to leave the beach and go round up 10 attack pieces there. The last few are locked behind a section where Mario gets kidnapped and we have to play as solo Luigi. We follow the kidnapped Mario into a giant sock op where he gets shot out and lost in the woods. Luigi has to do a required solo fight against a few Skutlets, which I think is kind of fun given the fact that we fought one big one as a boss earlier in the game. I expected this fight to last forever since Luigi's attack stat is fucking abominable, but with quick jumps and counters, it actually went by pretty quickly. I avoided every other optional fight as solo Luigi, both to keep the bros XP as close together as possible, but also because sock ops are way too tanky for Luigi to fight alone. Eventually, Luigi frees Mario, we fight the sock ops that just witnessed gore of their own kind, and we get the final attack piece needed for that bros attack, Snack Basket. Using this attack allows Luigi to become very large and slam the ground in an earth-shaking strike. This knocks Chakran over, allowing us to obtain the final Star Cure. This attack is normally pretty good beyond its required use for the Chakran fight, but in this run, it was absolutely terrible. Like, no questions asked, Snack Basket was the worst bros attack in this playthrough. While Jump Helmet always uses Mario's damage for its calculation, Snack Basket will always use Luigi's damage for its calculation. Mario's higher base attack and the usefulness of Jump Helmet just make it a much better case for glass cannoning Mario rather than Luigi, but if you're a huge fan of Luigi, then I guess you could make him the attacker. That would definitely make Snack Basket more useful, but overall Mario's just the much better choice to be the damage guy. Next, we can return to Dr. Toadley, who is able to combine the 3 Star Cures into the Miracle Toadley Cure. I guess the whole Blorbs plotline kinda got sidelined for most of the game, but I think it was a strong way to start, and I'm glad they didn't completely neglect to pay it off. Immediately after combining the Star Cures, Dr. Toadley's assistant gives us yet another bros attack, Mighty Meteor. They absolutely dump bros attacks on you during this leg of the game, and honestly I feel like they should have stacked them a little bit earlier so there was more variety for more of the game. Mediocre Meteor is only okay as far as damage goes, but it has one bonus mechanic that makes it super unique and incredibly useful in one particular part of the game. Every time you complete the attack, you're awarded an item. There's a really great video by the Purple Anon explaining how Mighty Meteor's item drops work, and I recommend you check it out if you're a Bowser's Inside Story fan, but the really short version is that these are the item drop chances. Don't hold your breath though, Mighty Meteor will be on the bench for a while. With the blockade gone, Mario and Luigi's next task is to storm Peach's castle and look for Fawful. We almost immediately run into those blue paratroopas again, and they have another collection of attack pieces for some reason. We find 7 of them, and after some discussion, they sell us the location of the final 3 pieces. Rounding these up is absolutely worth it because it gives us a solid bronze medalist on the podium of the best bros attack in the game, Falling Star. This one does very strong single target damage while also having a chance to lower the enemy's defense. The action command is very easy to consistently get an excellent on, and it does slightly more total damage than Jump Helmet. Jump Helmet is still absolutely the king of damage per SP spent though, and it isn't close. So yeah, we just got the last 5 out of the 10 bros attacks in the last like 3 hours of gameplay. Strange pacing aside, it's great that we have all of our attack options because we're gonna need whatever we can get to defeat the next boss. Junker is a pretty tough boss normally, and with challenge metal, he's honestly ridiculous. He has a massive health pool, many attacks with numerous chances to mess up, and there's a particular quirk to one of his abilities that is evil. The Thwomp Trash Can counterattack is a bit tricky at first, but after some practice, you can get consistent at it. The attack where he rolls balls of trash at you and then charges is really easy, but things get bad when he starts bringing in his Junker cans. Junker cans be like? Every few turns, the Junker can suck up Luigi and toss him into a Junker can. This prevents you from using bros attacks or, you know, getting a turn with Luigi at all until you can defeat the can that he's hiding in. They can shuffle him around, and defeating the wrong can will cause an extra attack to happen. The most disgusting part about the Luigi steal ability is that Mario dying while Luigi is in the can will count as a game over. Yup. As long as Luigi is in the can, I can be one-tapped as Mario and instantly lose. You might think I should spec Mario into defense, but then this fight will never end. The Junker cans each have 158 health, which takes forever to get through with Mario's regular jumps. If I sacrifice any attack power, Mario will get stonewalled by these stupid fucking trash cans. According to the wiki, Luigi apparently has a chance to escape from the Junker can on his own after a few turns, but that didn't happen for me a single time, so I don't even know if that's true. The Junker cans can also use extra attacks, which are quite easy to block but introduce extra failure points, and they give Junker an attack that is genuinely threatening. He can grab a Junker can and start emptying its contents, and this is a reaction time-based counter where you have to react to one of 5 items that he can pull out and do the appropriate response to avoid taking damage. 2 of the items are scraps of paper or old underwear, which don't do anything, but the other 3 items are Scutlets, Cheep Cheeps, and Bob-ombs. The Scutlets will hesitate for a split second and then charge at you, meaning you need to jump over them. The Cheep Cheep will bounce off the ground and then fly over you, meaning you need to not jump. The Bob-ombs will hesitate much longer than the Scutlets and then charge at you in the same way, so each of these kind of fakes you out if you don't have this fight fresh in your memory. The death counter took some hefty damage here, so clearly this wasn't working out. I could go grind levels, but with stash only, leveling up is a lot of work for pretty little return. However, there's a different grind we have full access to now that we have the magic window and spin pipe. The very same grind that grants you the challenge medal in the first place. Yes, we're going to return to the Cluster Road and get A rank on every single minigame. The rewards are worth it, seriously. I started with the endless jump helmet mode that I talked about earlier because it has the most important reward and is easily the hardest minigame here. You have to continuously bounce with jump helmet, and once you reach 60 distance, you get A rank, and that's all we need. There's also a timer that you can add or even subtract from by picking up clocks on the top screen. The timer spawns are very luck dependent, and you can basically be forced to lose even if you play well, and if you miss even a single jump helmet bounce, you instantly lose. Like I mentioned earlier, you can control your distance based on where you land on the helmet, unlike the Bros Attack version, and you can even skip pressing A to jump lower and avoid negative timers. It's very difficult but also quite tedious, so I'll skip to the winning attempt, which was honestly super hype. Why do I always come back to these streams when you're doing the Bros mini games? I don't know, but these are like low-key one of the most fun parts. I had a good time with Luiginary Stack and Dream Team for no reason. Luiginary Stack is another one that is deceptively difficult. Like, it's another one where you can just look at it and you're like, oh, how's this guy messing this up? This is the easiest shit of all time. But it's just one of those things where one mistake completely ruins you. So you can be doing everything else perfectly, and then you make one small mistake and your run is over. I maintain, I will defend that this is a difficult minigame. Can I get that exclamation from there? No. Can I get this one? No, not if I land so far forward on the jump helmet. Can I get this one? There we go. How did that grab the -15 but not the goddamn exclamation mark? Give me that one. Good. Probably don't read chat. Oh, wait. Oh my god. No, 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 no. Don't give me all those. Fuck. Oh, a +30 is huge, though. Okay, -5s is chill. Oh, I thought I was gonna jump over that somehow. Also, I'm so looking at my PC preview again, but I don't really want to change mid-attempt. I should have done a short hop there. Short hop that. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Give me some, grab the exclamation. Give me more time, please. I have less than a second. No way. That was stupidly fucking close. Oh my God, holy negative time. Okay, I'll get that pause. I'll grind for that. That. It's probably the most nervous I have ever been playing this game. This is hilarious. Yeah, we did it. Yes, I can't believe I caught it off that clutch. Okay, now we just keep grinding out more points for the fuck of it. I got it. I'm just gonna play really aggressively and see how far I go. Okay, cool. That's fine. Oh, wait. And for doing that, we're awarded with the Daredevil boots. If you know this game well, I'm sure you knew it was only a matter of time before I caved and went to get these things. This is an equip for Mario or Luigi that doubles the equipping bro's damage, but in exchange makes any hit taken instantly kill them. See, the thing is, Mario gets instantly killed by Junker anyways. This has no downside for us. There's a reason I waited so long to get it. It's like almost overpowered. But between this option or grinding Junker until I get a perfect no-hit fight that would probably take 30 plus minutes, I think Daredevil boots are just a little bit more fun. None of the rewards from the rest of the minigames are particularly worthwhile, but the reward we get from earning A rank in all of them is fantastic, so let's knock the rest of these out. I did Green Shell earlier to prove a point about earning challenge medal early, so that leaves Yoo-Hoo Cannon, Super Bouncer, Spin Pipe, and Magic Window. Yoo-Hoo Cannon is absolutely the most boring out of all of them. You basically just have to perform the Yoo-Hoo Cannon bros attack 15 times in a row, but the window that you get to see the layout of the bros gets smaller each time. This doesn't really make it much harder, it's just tedious. Super Bouncer, in contrast, is almost laughably easy. You just need to get 30 bounces, which is a bit longer than the regular attack, but it also doesn't really get any more difficult than said regular attack. If you press on the D-pad while Luigi's spinning and still off screen, you can basically negate all spinning momentum and then just aim him where you need to go, and that makes this one super easy. The Spin Pipe minigame, like the bros attack, is kind of just Super Bouncer with a different coat of paint. The pipe doesn't really spin any faster than it does during the end of the attack, and if you just pick one bro and track them the whole time, it's pretty easy to beat this one. And finally, Magic Window. This is probably the most fun one since it plays out just like the regular attack, which is already infinite, except they give you a much wider input window for the duration of it. The timing of the jumps post-excellent in the bros attack form gets very strict, but it stays pretty lenient on this one, so all you have to do is keep track of which bro is jumping and when. With all 6 minigames A-ranked, we're awarded with the Master Wear. This armor is only 10 defense short of the highest defense granting wear in the game, and it gives the wearer a 25% damage buff on their bros attacks. This is phenomenal for Luigi, and you might be wondering why. I mean, Luigi's damage is basically placebo compared to Mario with the Daredevil boots, so who cares if he gets a 25% buff? Well, the way this buff applies is actually super nice. Bros attacks simply get a 25% damage buff when selected by Luigi. This includes attacks that calculate with Mario's damage. So this means jump helmets do 25% more when Luigi picks them, Mario and Luigi's hits are both increased for Magic Window, etc, etc. This allows Luigi to reach his final form of support character, at least by Mario and Luigi game standards. Unfortunately, the Master Wear does not stack with the 2 other equips that provide similar but lower bros attack buffs, but given that Master Wear has the highest buff and gives a crazy amount of defense, this is absolutely the preferred item. With Challenge Medal in Luigi's other slot, I decided to give him Surprising Socks for now, which gives him a passive 3 SP regen per turn. For Mario, I went ahead and threw on the DX POW gloves for another 20% buff, and my recently acquired Muscle Wear. This armor still gives pretty low defense for this point in the game, but also provides 20 more POW instead of the 5 from Fighter Wear. And obviously Mario's defense doesn't matter anymore anyways. With all of this stuff acquired, let's return to Junker and see if we can junk him back. Okay, let's see how much damage we do with a falling star now. That's a whole lot more damage now, yeah. 347? You know, the last time we saw a number that big in this playthrough, we haven't. And now, oh no, Mario's gonna get one shot if I don't manage to dodge this attack, guys. We gotta be careful. He's gonna get one shot because of the Daredevil boots. We gotta be careful. So I wonder if Luigi using Falling Star will do less damage because of, I don't know if it calculates the damage based off of both bros or off Luigi or what. Because I know that like Super Bouncer is weird about that. And basically I'm just asking this question out loud, hoping Gamer Guy Dude answers. Oh, 433? Yep. So, even though we do more damage now, the scenario has not changed where I get like one tapped if I mess up here. God, that damage on the single target is so much better. That's like what you would do at this point in the game. Okay, the Falling Star damage is averaged between both bros. Mario can actually kill things. What a rush. Yeah, defense down. Huge. That one was low. I instantly got Luigi back. Oh, good luck. 3-7. Oh my god! And he gives 6,000 XP. I obliterated that guy. The Daredevil boots are so strong. Upon defeating Junker, he goes crazy and retrieves the safe with Bowser in it, which was apparently stashed here. He breaks it open and Bowser is finally free. For some reason, Mario, Luigi, and Starlo all agree to just let Bowser take the lead for the final pursuit of Fawful. Sure, yeah. Bowser's back is understandably very sore from being crammed in the safe for many hours, so we gotta heal him up before he can storm the castle. Toadsworth invites us to dig into Bowser's back with the drill move, and then he informs us we need to take a break and wait for it to heal. Yup, the game idles for 2 minutes until Bowser's back is better, but you may have heard on the internet before that you can press A, B, X, Y, L, R, Y, X, B, A to instantly skip this. I myself heard this on the internet years ago and have used this technique on past playthroughs, but during this run, I was finally told where you find this information in-game. Apparently, any time between the Bowser memory boss fight and now, you could have talked to Toadbert in Toad Square where he tells you about a dream he's been having. In this dream, some apparition tells him the button combo. The game very much wants you to stay out of Bowser's body during this entire gameplay window, so you have to be really committed to finding every bit of dialogue in this game to have bothered talking to Toadbert again. Bowser's back recovers, and he now has the ability to roll up into a spike ball, even though he's been able to do that since we got the Shy Guy attack over 10 hours ago. And using this ability, we can enter Deep Peach's castle where the music is really good and the enemies are pretty entertaining to fight. The nap locks have very easy counterattacks, but their alarm clocks are very fun to try and time the instant punch counter on. The dark trashers are even worse than the normal ones about running away. These things are super bulky and will escape pretty much every time due to my low damage output. The dark McCawfuls are probably the most threatening normal Bowser enemy in the game, which makes a ton of sense considering they're the last one that he encounters. Their timings are decently precise, and if you leave the heads alive floating on the top screen for long enough, they can respawn a slightly stronger body and basically start the fight over. In the middle of this segment, we find the last of Bowser's minion-related special attacks, the Magikoopas. These guys are super good, and apparently if you just scribble really hard, you can avoid having to exactly trace their attacks. And finally, since this area contains the final normal Bowser enemies in the game, we can get the final Blitties and return to Charlie for a reward. And oh boy, is it some reward. Broggy Bonker. This is Bowser's true final special move, and it's his best single target attack by a decent margin. On top of that, this attack is super easy to perform, just requiring you to scribble all over the dog with the stylus. After returning from my backtrack to give the Blitties to Charlie, I found out the hard way that messing up really badly on the Dark McCawful beam attack would instantly kill me. That pushed the death count into the double digits. I cleared the rest of the way through Deep Castle, took a small break to turn Bowser into Missing No and softlock my game, beat these weird piranha plants that aren't difficult and don't really make any sense, and I got the best shell for Bowser that I bothered to get in this run, the Wicked Shell. It provides a decent defense increase and also provides the highest increase to Bowser's attack stat. The King Shell and Ironclad Shell are also available right now. The latter is pretty easy to get in KV Cape and provides the highest defense increase of any shell at a whopping 300. The King Shell provides almost as much defense as well as giving a 20 boost to speed and POW. Bowser also gets a huge punch push power increase from the King Shell, so why exactly didn't I get it? Well, you need to get A rank in all of Bowser's special attack minigames. Yes, if you visit Charlie's Lover in Blubble Lake, she will give access to minigames for every Bowser attack besides the Shy Guys and Broggy. These, at least from what I remember and what people told me in chat, are much harder than the Mario and Luigi Bros attack minigames. The Wicked Shell is honestly good enough to the point where I didn't really want to deal with all this. I slapped on a Power Band Plus and Power Fangs X to add 2 more 20% attack increases on top, and I figured I could make up for the lower defense by just being good at the game. And finally, we reach the boss at the end of this dungeon, Blizzard Midbus. This guy has more health than any other individual boss in the main story, and he's got quite an attack stat to back that up. This happened to me on literally his first attack. God. What? That tipped me over. He's gonna kill me. Ah! Wow, that was so cool. Yeah. So yeah, I had kind of forgotten the cue for this attack at first, but very quickly realized that you just press Y to duck whenever Midbus is looking at Bowser from the top screen. After realizing that, my second attempt went much better. I've always liked Blizzard Midbus's gimmick where you need to inhale and defeat 8 Snoffles to prevent him from healing. The fight is nearly unwinnable in normal mode without doing this, but even in hard mode when you do the Snoffle thing, the fight isn't that bad. Mario and Luigi don't struggle much with the Snoffles inside since Mario's attack stat is finally reasonable, and Blizzard Midbus's other attack is deceptively easy to guard. He'll roll a giant snowball on screen and try to crush Bowser with it. There's a Bob-omb planted in the snowball that you need to punch in order to counter the attack, and later in the fight, he'll start to hide the Bob-omb in the snow to make it more difficult. During this fight, I was able to just punch with good timing right after it spawned and instantly counter it every single time. Combining these easy counters with Bowser's actually solid damage output finally made for a pretty easy fight. To Midbus's credit, he managed to take a life off of me one more time. Immediately following the fight, the Dark Star finally awakens and Fawful gets so excited that he starts sucking power from it without even considering the fact that Bowser is still there. Bowser punches him in the fucking head, and then the Dark Star flies into Bowser's body. Mario and Luigi have to chase it into the airway while Bowser starts to huff ice from Blizzard Midbus's snout to cool off the heartburn that the Dark Star gave him. Felt that one, buddy. Once again, he kinda just sits and does this for hours for no real in-universe reason. With Mario's Daredevil boots, he's actually quite strong against normal enemies for the first time in the run, and I took advantage of this to finally catch up on how underleveled I became. The Air Cheeps have a hilarious counter where they'll puff up and slowly roll towards you, and you can hit their cork to deflate them and end the attack. If you do your best to hit everywhere but the cork, you can hammer repeatedly and deal a ton of damage to them. Mario is strong enough to actually kill them this way, and Luigi participates for sure. The next enemy here is called the fucking Stonk. Stonk. He's literally just a purple cloud of evil, presumably left by the Dark Star, and his attacks are mostly pretty forgiving, except for when he spawns his little fart balls in this particularly devious arrangement. The third enemy in here is a recolor of the Naps, and it is just as weak to dying as the original variant. And finally, the Air Cannon. This guy's attacks can be kind of annoying, but a jump helmet with Mario's shoes of instant death takes care of them quickly. I did have a little mishap against a pair of air cannons, which may have added to the death counter, but we don't have to worry too much about that. I'm sure I'll never have any skill issues ever again. This dungeon overall is pretty alright, but not really a standout from any of the other side-scroller Bowser body levels. The progression of the Dark Star slowly stealing DNA from Bowser and taking his abilities is super cool, and the final confrontation almost feels like the final boss, despite the fact that you know it's not because they still played the dinky-ass normal boss theme. One of my favorite things about the remake is that they gave the Dark Star its own theme and it goes crazy, so we're just gonna throw that on in the background instead. This fight absolutely delivers on the build-up, especially in hard mode. The Dark Star can't be damaged at first, but it spawns dark saddle mites that allow you to break it temporarily. Yes, they're called saddle mites in the English version, not satellites. Defeating 2 saddle mites and then countering it back at the Dark Star when it throws them will cause it to fall to the ground and become vulnerable for 1 turn. This isn't a large window to get damage done, so once again, shoutouts to the Daredevil boots for making this fight not complete hell. None of the Dark Darkstar's attacks individually are that threatening, but when combined with the laser attacks from the Saddle Mites and the whole thing where bosses start attacking twice when they're at low health, and it becomes really easy to make mistakes. Mistakes are of course fatal for Mario, and when he goes down, Luigi has to lug him along for the following counterattacks. This makes some counterattacks slightly harder and makes others borderline impossible. The thing that pisses me off the most in this fight is his stupid laser counterattack that he uses when he's stunned. After being attacked, he'll aim a laser at the bro who attacked him, and this is slightly precise to dodge and really easy to forget that he can even do after you've just finished doing a bro's attack. If he catches Mario lacking, Luigi has to burn his attack turn to use a 1-up, and the fight goes on for way longer. On the first attempt, I lost in a really stupid way. Oh yeah, I forgot about this attack. What? I let go, it still hit Luigi and one-tapped him. That's bad. Uh-oh. No! He faked me out, I had to jump. Oh my god. He faked me out and I had to jump early because he was holding Luigi. Fuck. I think this is genuinely the first time in my life I have ever let go too late on this fight and taken damage from this. So, you remember that spin pipe payoff I teased earlier? Well, here it is. I got an unlucky 4-bounce jump helmet, leaving the Saddle Mite with literally 2 health. I wanted to do that final hit on him and then switch to targeting the other one all within a single bros attack. There's only 2 serial bros attacks and spin pipe is the stronger of the 2, So here, this is actually a use case for spin pipe, because this guy's like 1 tap. No, don't switch to the star. Don't switch to the invincible guy. God, why did it do that? Does it just pick one randomly? Fuck you, man. Yup, I lost the coin flip. And even if I didn't, I would have had to roll pretty much all Mario hits instead of Luigi hits to come close to killing the Saddle Mite. Okay, so its usefulness is incredibly niche and it requires great luck to even get the desired effect. Truly a quality bros attack. I might have overblown how useful it was when we talked about it earlier. The Darkstar's attacks are pretty easy to learn as you go, and it doesn't do anything nearly as offensive as the Junker canning and instantly killing Luigi, so I was able to bring it down on the second attempt. Next up, the Darkstar escapes from Bowser's body and turns into Dark Bowser. He wanders off looking for the rest of his power, which Fawful sucked away from him earlier. Bowser attempts to follow him, but instead runs into Fawful, who turns the entire castle into a mech and kills Bowser a 4th time. You know what that means? We get to enter Bowser's ass again! Believe it or not, they did not suddenly make this fight affected by challenge metal after the previous 3 giant fights weren't. Crazy news, I know. This fight is a pretty fun last giant battle, although it falls a little flat compared to the Fawful Express given how much harder that one is. Like the rest of the giant fights, the Peach's Castle mech fight is a very scripted feeling experience. Your standard attacks don't matter that much, and you just need to nail the important counterattacks. In the interest of moving on to one of the coolest fights in the run, we'll just skim over this last giant fight, and yeah, he's dead now, look at that. And on that note, Dark Fawful. This fight is one of my favorites in the series, and this is the other boss that got a new song in the remake. Some people say that this new song doesn't fit, or is the wrong vibe, or is too slow. I say, fuck 'em. This song kicks ass. So does Fawful. His HP stat is pretty huge, especially when combined with his vacuum helmet. Killing the helmet is almost required normally, and is definitely required in hard mode since it hugely heals Fawful every turn. One of Fawful's main attacks is this pretty fun one where he creates portals and shoots lasers at Bowser, and he can even swap them around to try and mix you up on what type of dodge you should do. He can also do this attack where he shoots a circle of star lasers around, and then you need to duck until you can punch the correct one. Neither of these are that difficult, and Bowser is bulky enough to tank a couple hits. While the helmet is around, Fawful can also do this funny swing around attack that lets us rack up some counter damage. Bowser mostly has this fight handled, but the same can't be said for Mario and Luigi. Whenever the vacuum helmet detaches from Fawful, Bowser gets a chance to inhale it and let Mario and Luigi fight it instead. With the Daredevil boots, this is kind of a mistake. The helmet steals one of your command blocks upon being inhaled, and the 2 worst options here are bros attacks and especially items. Losing bros attacks is pretty bad for damage output, but at least Mario's jump does reasonable damage now. Items getting taken is awful because Mario is addicted to 1-ups now that he dies in 1 hit. The vacuum helmet's attacks aren't that bad, but it's easy to make one little mistake that snowballs horribly when you don't have healing items. Luigi is bulky enough to survive a few hits from this guy, but his damage is non-existent, so this entire cycle was rendered pointless. I re-inhaled the helmet a few turns later, hoping for things to go my way. My items were taken, I survived 1 turn of attacks, and then this happened. he eventually spits them back out. If that's the case, then that would be very nice. Because right now we just have a dead weight Mario. I don't think Luigi's in that much risk of dying, though. No way! That can dizzy you? The bros going down results in a game over, so I guess Bowser and Fawful are left to just stare at each other forever. On the second attempt, things went a bit better. Broggy Bonker makes this fight much easier since you can use it to target the helmet while it's on Fawful's head, which is much more productive than attacking the target that's gonna heal every turn. This does some good chip damage, but Mario and Luigi have good damage potential with jump helmet or falling star spam, so I wanted to try and make them work again. Luckily, the helmet trapped Mario during its first attack this time, and we get to see one of the few instances where Mario can take damage without instantly dying while wearing Daredevil boots. My items were still gone, but both bros were alive and I got to unleash a couple falling stars. The great damage from these, as well as the Broggy Bonker chips earlier, actually allowed me to destroy the helmet after a single round. Okay, so I might have overreacted about this helmet a bit. Something I definitely underreacted to was Fawful's other attack. This one where he spawns a bunch of scary purple balls that you need to counter by flinging Goombas at Fawful. This is a completely unique counter type that isn't used anywhere else in the game, and it isn't too strict at first. They make this attack slightly more spicy, requiring 4 hits instead of 3. Oh no. I feel like I remember that attack being kind of janky to dodge, but it seems very free. As soon as Broggy's done with the attack, he just instantly finds the nearest mud puddle and just like rolls through it. Can he roll through it? He's a cube. You know, like those Tox boxes in Mario 64? That's what he does in the mud. My words! They don't taste very good! So, on the third attempt, I shifted my strategy a bit. I simply got luckier and didn't have to counter the advanced version of the Goomba attack a single time. I don't know why I didn't think of this to begin with. After being defeated, Dark Fawful is reduced to bug and gets inhaled by Dark Bowser. This grants Dark Bowser leg and opacity privileges, and he flees to the top of the castle to go Dark Star all over the place. While chasing him, we have to do a weird minigame that's shockingly mediocre compared to every other part of this finale, and then we reach the top of the castle to prepare for the final confrontation. Honestly though, we're already pretty set. Barring that slightly better shell that I didn't want to grind for, I think this loadout is great. Mario is the full glass cannon, has made boss fights not take nearly as long, Luigi's a great tank, and Bowser has been surprisingly competent at every stage of this run. So let's take on Dark Bowser. This finale kicks as much ass as everyone always says it does, so I hardly need to gush about it. The fight is excellent, the setup is excellent, the music is excellent, and more popular than the game itself, it really is the whole package. The Dark Bowser phase is a little on the easy side, especially if you've played the game before, so honestly I would say Challenge Medal brings it up to about what it should have been in normal mode rather than being super ridiculous. Dark Bowser's attacks aren't terribly hard to dodge, and somehow even missing the counter on his fire boulder attack doesn't one-tap me. Although in fairness, it would have if I got hit by even a single rock. This punch one where you have to punch him back and then duck from his shell is very easy, but hey, at least that punch sound is satisfying. And finally, probably the stupidest but most interesting one of his attacks, the cage. When I played this game as a kid, I just started spamming punch as soon as the cage spawned. This will comfortably break the cage before his attack reaches you, and that's it. Super easy. But you can also counterattack by using the shell instead. By ducking repeatedly and with good timing, you can start to sway the cage, and once it sways fast enough, you will snap the chain and land on Dark Bowser. Definitely less consistent than spamming punch, but it's way more fun. There's also a technique called Penis Man Cage you can do by pressing Y for a single frame at 2 specific points in the swing to instantly build up swing speed and counter way faster than normal. This is a speedrun strat that was named after Gamer Guy Dude's roommate, whose username is PenisMan1 in exchange for $1. I didn't even successfully do it in this run. I just wanted to say penis to see if you were still paying attention. After you deplete Dark Bowser's health, he instantly revives and grows big AF. If you're lucky enough to kill him with a counterattack, you can totally skip his special attack that he does in this form, which I actually did on the first cycle. While he's huge, hitting him in the stomach will cause him to cough up the Dark Fawful bug and shrink to normal size. Next, you need to inhale the Fawful bug from off screen, but Dark Bowser will inhale against you to make it harder. A technique that I've been using for every vacuum use up to this point in the run, but kind of forgot to mention, is that you're able to mash X and Y to perform the vacuum command. So if you've ever struggled to mash fast enough in this game, you can put one finger on the X button and another other on the Y button to make your mashing much faster. It is amazingly effective. Like, look how fast Fawful snaps over to me and how stupid Dark Bowser looks. Okay, so this is where the real final boss begins. This giant Fawful bug has 5 targets to defeat before we can target the true Dark Star core, and in hard mode, this phase can really drag out. The glasses need to be defeated before the legs, otherwise he'll see you and hide his legs, I guess, and all of these body parts have a ton of health. His moves are honestly pretty easy to dodge. This arm energy ball one just requires some pretty predictable hammer timings, this chase one looks cool but is forgiving on jump timings, and then there's this other one that he never uses. The attacks used in this phase change after Bug Fawful is defeated, and there's one of them that's pretty evil. This awful jump rope of doom and despair. The fake outs can get you, the high speed of the spin can get you, and if you're really terrible and stupid, then the final big hit can get you. And if you're even stupider, you'll mess it up a second time. My OBS glitched a lot during this recording because of some stupid issue, and it created this awesome subtle foreshadowing edit by complete accident. The core's other attack is laughably bad. It's a repeat of the Bowser Fire and Dark Star counters where you have to grab onto Starlo and fly up to the top screen, except this one provides the most room for error out of those 3 variants. Not really sure why they did that. The Dark Star core will only stick around for 1 or 2 turns of attacks before leaving and returning to Dark Bowser, which means Bowser has to do an extra round with Dark Bowser after every attack on the core. Somehow on my first attempt, I managed to do this. No! I genuinely don't know how I missed this hammer counter 3 times in a row. I was pretty close to beating the final boss without adding a death, but honestly, I fully deserve this loss. On to attempt number 2. Yeah, and I'm absolutely just gonna use my retry clocks here to skip the cutscene, yup. I do have another chance at Penis Man Cage. No, I messed it up. I just had to do regular Cage. Alright, punch his tummy. Okay, I'm gonna try opening with Magic Window here. Luigi's doing 9, while Mario does 50. No, press too early, I guess. Did that break either of the glasses? No. Come on, give me the guy that does damage, please. It's not Luigi. Yeah, Mario does 100 there. God, Spin Pipe, you're so ass. Stop using Luigi. All right, we're magic windowing. I'm not fucking around. I'm not going to take even another action to do this. Did that leg only have the 1 hit left? Okay, the leg had like 2 health left. Because now it's only targeting this one. That's fine. Yeah, whatever. How did I miss the timing again? Whatever. At least one of them survived. Let's heal him and then get a falling star off. The triple luckies there. Wow, that was good damage. Yeah, we need more SP. I'll syrup jar Luigi. Yes, got the defense down. I don't know if I get another round of attacks on this thing, though. If I do, I might be able to win now. Nope, it leaves. Okay, Penis Man Cage. No, I'm not getting Penis Man Cage. Okay, whew, that was close. He died to the counter again? God, that's so lucky. Because then I don't have to do the Dark Minions attack. All right, let's finish this. I just need to not mess up and die in like 1 hit to Fawful. How did I miss the timing there? God, I'm so bad. Oh, wait, what is this attack again? Wow, what a rare attack. I feel like I've barely ever seen that before. I didn't mess up, though. It's not that hard. Okay, yep, use the free attack. That works for me. It's okay. The stream dropped frames at the least important time. I gotta heal Luigi's SP, then Mario has enough for a star, and Luigi has enough for a star, and that might be enough to win next turn. That one is a skill issue, yeah. Wait, is he leaving immediately? Are you kidding? What a dickhead. Okay, yeah, this fight's gonna go on forever. Okay, didn't kill him to the counter the 3rd time. but the minion's attack isn't like too brutal. It's honestly just such a cool attack. Yeah, X and Y mash. I just GG no diff him on the inhale there. It's not close. Oh, Luigi, you idiot. You tripped. You idiot. He tripped. Oh, no. No. I have to not mess up. He can still target Luigi when... Okay, it's not actually that hard. Okay, good. The easy attack? I think it will attack twice, though. It just holds it for so long. It's so dumb. Okay, yep. Chance at redemption. Maybe if I don't fuck this one up for once, that would be good. I think he always does 2 fake outs. There we go. 14 counter damage. I thought that was based on like a flat rate of damage because it was his attack. No, it's not. That was terrible. I think I just jump helmet here. Oops. Oops. 342 is still okay. Okay, give me a defense down, although I'm probably gonna have to do another cycle. No, it died. It's dead. The excellent already showed up. I think we win. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that jump helmet was absolutely the right choice. Nice. This isn't even going to deal with his 1500 health. No, he's not actually dead. This is fake. With Dark Bowser soundly defeated, we reach the end of the challenge medal playthrough. Or do we? You may be wondering about those harder boss refights in the gauntlet. And yes, I did in fact do those. It was ridiculous, and I think it's best left for a second video so we can give that extra challenge the spotlight it deserves. It's coming real soon, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to see it. I also never did the similar gauntlet in Mario and Luigi Dream Team, so I think I'll hop back into my save file from the hard mode video and stream that boss grind very soon as well. As far as the main story goes, I think the challenge medal was overall a great level of difficulty. The early game especially was a bit grindy, but I made that worse for myself by doing a stash only playthrough. The badge restriction wasn't a huge deal, although I could have absolutely made use of the 2x damage badge combination to make some of the mid and late game fights go faster. I think the fact that I remember a lot of this game pretty well from playing it more than a few times as a kid helped me in some spots, and having a chat with knowledge on where and when to get the best gear certainly helped things along as well. Gotta say, I think either Junker or Dark Fawful were my favorite fights in this entire run. Their mechanics that back you into a corner in normal mode really get amped up and leave no room for error here, and that's the kind of experience I was really looking for. After playing both official hard modes for Inside Story and Dream Team, I still think Dream Team holds the title of hardest official Mario RPG. It's already harder than Inside Story when comparing normal modes, but Dream Team's hard mode is even more aggressive with the enemy stat buffs, the 10 of each item limit is shockingly good at preventing items from cheesing fights, and those giant battles, man. Those are easily the hardest parts of Dream Team hard mode. Bowser's Inside Story is an absolute gem of a game, and it was awesome to play it scaled up in difficulty to make it feel as hard as it was when I played it for the first time at the ripe age of 8. And now that I've done both of the Mario and Luigi games with official hard modes, I may have to look into some unofficial hard modes for the rest of the series. Thank you so much for watching this video. This was a while in the making because I really wanted to do justice to one of my favorite games and make it as entertaining as possible, so I hope it delivered. Huge shoutouts to all the Bringle members for allowing me to work on this channel full time. It's an honor and a privilege as always. Make sure you take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video.